Hello everyone, this is Crystal, and today I'll be showing you how I made this shadow box card using the new stamp set from Maymaymadeit, God is Fighting For Us, and also the stamp set Healer. So let me show you how I made it. First, I started out with a piece of smoky slate cardstock, which is going to be my outside. It is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. Then I took a piece of very vanilla cardstock that measures 8.5 by 5.5 and I scored it at 1/2 inch, 4 1/4, and 4 3/4 inch. And now I took my nesting dies and I took the second largest one and I cut an oval out of the very vanilla, the inside, and I cut it between the 1/2 inch score line and the 4 1/4 score line, and I kind of centered it. And then I took the piece of smoky slate and the part that's going to be the back of the card, I cut 1/2 inch off. This is to make the mechanism work. And on the piece of very vanilla, on the 1/2 inch score mark, you want to trim that back. Just take a little sliver out of it. It'll make it fit so much neater. A piece of very vanilla that we cut the oval out of, you want to keep that oval for the front of your card, and the largest oval you want to cut it out of pear pizzazz to make a frame for it. And then I cut 2 more second smallest ovals out of the pear pizzazz to put behind the hole in the shadow box. Plus I also use it for the sentiment for the inside of the card. And here I'm taking a brick stencil and I'm putting it over the front of the card, and then I'm going to tape it down with washi tape to hold it in place so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to take my embossing paste and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of basic gray just to make it a little bit darker, and I'll mix that up really good, and then I'll start smoothing it over the brick stencil. And you want to make sure that you push the paste down in on the paper. And I decided I didn't want to do the whole front of the card, and so I wasn't going to make sure that it was perfectly all over the whole card, because I wanted to give it a little bit of an old castle feel. Now I will set this aside and let it dry. In the meantime, I need to take the stencil and my tools, and they need to be washed right away because the embossing powder will be almost impossible to get off. Or I didn't have water in my studio, so I put mine in a plastic Ziploc bag until I could take it in. And took a piece of Pacific Point cardstock and I punched out, it's called a badge punch, but it looks more like a shield. And here I'm using a sponge dauber and Pacific Point ink, and I'm going around the very vanilla oval just to give it a little bit of softness. And I'm also going to go around the badge too. And I stamped the inside of the badge with Versamark black ink with my sentiment, and then I'm gluing the very vanilla to the green, and I popped up the badge with some foam tape. And now I am stamping my sentiment, God is Fighting For You, on the green cardstock, and on the other piece of the green oval I am stamping Praying For You in This Difficult Time. And here I'm taking black Memento ink this time, and I'm stamping out the different images from the stamp set God is Fighting For You. The reason why I'm using Memento ink, because it's a water soluble ink and it won't bleed when I go to use my alcohol markers with it. And I'll put on some music so you can watch the coloring.
Now I took the front piece and made sure the embossing paste was completely dried. And now I'll take my bone folder and I'll crease it really, really good. And I'll take the inside piece of the card and I'll crease it really, really good to make sure that it will fit perfectly inside the card. And at the 1/2 inch score mark, when we fold it down flat, we want it to sit just inside the fold, and we want that 1/2 inch to be actually glued to the back of the card. Now I'm going to lightly crease on the score lines just to try to dry fit it to get it to match, and then I'll lay it inside the card there where it's supposed to be, but it also needs to lay flat where the back of the card is to meet with the first score line. Now I'll take my art glitter glue and I'll glue that 1/2 inch and I'll glue it to the back of the card and set it in place, matching both score lines so the card will fold together. And here I took the very vanilla cardstock and I folded it over, and then I folded the back part of the smoky slate. And as you see, the edge of the smoky slate should hit the score line on the very vanilla, but it didn't. So I need to take the very vanilla and I need to go and I need to take it to my trimmer and I need to just cut off just a little bit of it. And now while the back is still just dry fitted in place, I took my green sentiment for the very back and I used my art glitter glue and I glued it really well. And then I'll slide it through the hole and then I can adjust it to get it straight on how I want it to look when the card is actually open all the way. And if it's kind of cattywampus, you can at least open the card up and you can straighten it up. And here I'm adding my other sentiment to the inside of the card. And using my art glitter glue, I'm going to glue the back of the smoky slate cardstock. I'm going to glue it really well. And then I'm going to put the edge of the very vanilla cardstock up against the other side of the fold line. And now we're ready to decorate. And I added art glitter glue to my boys and girls and made sure that I only glued the sections that was actually going to be on the very vanilla and not anything that was going to overhang into the oval, because I don't want it to glue to be stuck to the back of the oval. And I added the little swords to each one of them's hands, the shields. And now I'm going to pop up the shield on the front of the card with some foam squares. And now I'll add my small shields to the side of the card with some dimensionals, and then our card is finished.